So I'm very excited to go get that.
Yeah, I think that came out around the time I stopped reading out of poorness.
Because basically I asked this particular person who's also a comic book author, I was like, I want a Superman comic book that's somewhat light in content, though it doesn't matter as much, but it's more about like the artist, because that's what a 2-year-old is going to be interested in.
Sure.
So like cool artwork. And so that was what his suggestion was. So I'm excited to go pick up a graphic novel, fully knowing that my son's going to destroy it.
That'll be fun though. That'll be fun.
Yeah, and it's something I can introduce him so he starts liking comic books.
I mean, I keep thinking about what I want to do, and like I know there's so many more like diverse comics in Marvel right now, and I know Iron Man is a woman, so like part of me is like I think her name's Ironheart.
It is Ironheart.
It's Ironheart. Like part of me wants to go with that one, and then at the same time, part of me goes, "Fuck you! Why'd the girl have to be Heart? Like, why can't it be Iron Badass or something?" Like. But I hear she's supposed to be a really great character, so I kind of think about that one.
Both goods and bads about the character, but I should also understand that when you're reading about character, you're reading about fanboys who just get pissed that like there's a girl Iron Man.
Well, yeah, I don't read about it. Like, and I have a couple people I know who are involved in the industry, and so I'll talk to them.
Yeah,
but I think they mostly work on kind of smaller independent books.
Okay.
I thought about the Miss Marvel because I know like at least at one point or another in the comic books it was a Muslim girl from Jersey City, and so I thought like having it be a girl from Jersey might be really cool.
That's pretty cool.
Especially I can be like, oh yeah, like mommy and daddy used to live there a couple years before you were born.
You should reach out. Reach out to Andrew Sanford of Half White Son of a Black Man podcast. Ask him because he writes comic books and he's really up on all that shit, and he will be able to give you a good. And he's still like up on all of it. Like he still is constantly reading. That's who I asked about the Superman comic book.
Sure.
So he's a good one to go to for like, what do you think would be a good book to introduce? What do you think's good right now? And he could probably give you both DC and Marvel.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, that's who I would reach out to.
Yeah, I'll try it out.
Cool.
You want to get started?
Sure.
Cool. Hey everybody, welcome to Two Dumb Dads. This is episode 34 for September 6th.
Yep.
So we're actually revisiting a topic this week with the advent of the NFL kicking off, of the football season kicking off. We decided we would revisit our discussion of last year's what we thought of football now that we're parents. I am really like we have absolutely done no prep for this, so I have no idea what's going to come up.
Stream of consciousness.
I probably should have at least listened to the old one to see what we said, but I didn't.
It was pretty much you just telling me I was wrong.
I think it was mostly me telling that everybody was wrong about everything in the world.
About an hour of me being wrong.
But before we get to that, we're going to go ahead and jump into our adventures in dadding. So Thea, God damn it.
You should go first. Just go. Because I have to parse out which one of my tiny tyrant I want to talk about.
All right, so I'll go ahead and talk about it. So then, for my adventure in dating this week, I have I just had a lot of sadness. It's been just like miserable sadness in my house.
Because it's been a bajillion degrees outside?
No. So here's the deal. I mean, yes. Also, fucking yes. It's awful in New Jersey.
So hot right now.
I almost fainted on my run today, but
so that's why I ran at the Y, because I didn't want to get caught in that shit.
Well, some of us don't have a car in the afternoon.
Sure.
So Thea, as I've mentioned before, is going through her terrible twos in full force. Like
it finally hit like full on.
And it has. It's really
time.
bad. So aside from like all the temper tantrums that I've touched on, like each of the last 4 weeks or something, she's also started just telling us no for everything, which I think I've also touched on at least one of the few
much,
weeks.
But I think you mentioned it with the clothes.
So here's the deal. She has started specifically telling me no and telling my wife yes. Oh. So the weird thing is Thea has not only started like she has a really nice vocabulary, but she's also really good about putting things together and knowing exactly what she's saying.
The context of it, I guess.
Yeah. And so what started I don't think she necessarily has like I know she doesn't have the like social whatever down though.
I think that doesn't happen for a while.
Oh, I'm sure. I still suck at it, right?
Yeah.
I'm 30 something years old and I'm still terrible. So what she started doing is like we'll be sitting on the couch or something and she'll want some macaroni and it's like, okay, I want macaroni, please. I'm like, okay. So I jump up and I go get her some macaroni to eat and it's like, okay, here you go, Thea. And I hand it to her and she just looks at me and goes, Daddy, no. And then she takes the bowl and she hands it to Mom. I'm like, okay, well, that sucks. And so I just like, oh, Thea, can I have a hug? No. Daddy, no. But I love you. No. Daddy.
Solid answer.
No. And then just like, I put my arms out and she goes, stop it. And it's just like every time I do anything, she's just telling me no and to stop and just like pure awful misery.
It's called practice for teenage years.
And then she'll look over to mommy and be like, I'm going to do this thing that you want me to do to mommy instead. And this was above all else capitalized, or punctuated, I should say, I think on Sunday. I don't know if it was actually Sunday, but I'm going to say it was Sunday. It was Monday, I think, on the holiday.
Yeah.
We came home and like Thea, so I should point out, she was like, she probably got overheated and like uncomfortable and she hadn't eaten or drank enough.
Were you guys out doing stuff?
Yeah, we went out to the festival.
I did the same thing, and probably the same thing happened to Miles.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. It lasted about an hour.
Yeah. I don't even think we made it that long. And we went out like later after things were kind of winding down.
Yeah, I went out early, but still, the heat.
So we got back. We got to turn around Thea's car seat. So we went over to Target to do that so the mosquitoes didn't get us. Because we have the demon mosquitoes out here. Mosquitoes from hell. Anyway, so we come in and Thea knocks the mail off of our downstairs neighbor's package or whatever. And basically she just starts being cranky and throwing stuff. And so Aaron, like, I'm already up here, like turning on the air conditioner and whatnot. And I just hear Aaron go like, no, you have to pick that up. Thea, you have to pick that. Okay, fine. We're just going to stay here until you pick that up. Okay, Thea, I have to go to the bathroom. So I'm going upstairs. I'm like, all right, this is like time for Chris to step in. Like, this is my moment. Like I'm always saying, I don't feel like I do enough this. Like Aaron, I got this. So I go down and I'm like doing the thing and like whatever. 40 minutes pass. I'm still waiting for her to pick up the stupid mail and set it on top. But after like an hour or so, she finally does. And I'm like, okay, good. I did good parenting.
You did not get bested by your 2-year-old.
I did a nice job today. And then I come up and I'm like, okay, she's all better now. And she's like, she goes to go, like she sprints straight to mommy for a hug. And keep in mind, mommy started this. But I am now demonified for the lacking fun or whatever that she has had over the last hour. And like I suspect it's probably a matter of like she was like mommy was doing this and then she left and didn't come back. And so she's probably worried like mommy doesn't love her or anymore or something.
She's just completely forgotten it and just realized that you were the one that was down there.
Or whatever. But either way, I'm like, okay, this like, cause she spent like an hour crying and like it kills me. Like it just destroyed me inside. I'm like, all I wanted to do was like give her a great big hug. But I'm like, no, I can't do that. I can tell her I love her. I can tell her whatever, but I have to stay firm and be like, you have to do. So I did. Then we come up and she won't let me do anything. I can't look at her. I can't touch her. I can't hand her food. I can't get her a drink. If I don't move, this kid is looking at me going, Daddy, no. Daddy, no. Like, fuck everything.
Can I tell you something? Because this has started in our house for a couple months. You become calloused.
I went and cried in the bathroom for a while.
It's okay. I mean, listen, and then you become calloused and you're like, all right, kid.
No, look, and I get it.
Later.
Like, it doesn't normally bother me when she's throwing a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
But it was like, it was solidly all day that she had been telling me no for everything. And I just wanted, I wanted to have a nice, fun day with her.
Yeah.
And then after like sitting there listening to her cry for an hour for like just devastating me. And then having her just be like, just again, like, I love mommy. I want mommy. I don't want dad to exist. It was too much.
Do you ever wonder, because I mean, this is something that I've read a lot, that I mean, kids pick up on that shit, and because it's all about testing limits, she probably, in some weird way, realizes that.
Yes. Because she'll smile after she does. She's playing a game.
Yeah,
like she is playing a game.
She's playing the Game of Thrones with your heart.
She is. No, like I am well aware of that because she thinks it's a game and it's funny, and I'm like, okay. On the one hand, I can play along with her and like whatever, because like she's not always like in the mornings. Like mornings are daddy time.
Yeah,
so I do get affection from my daughter. But no, I am fully aware that she knows what she's doing and that she's doing it intentionally and having fun, like seeing what happens when she does it.
Yeah, what can she push?
Sure. So anyway, that's my long rendition of how my life is terrible. How about you?
Mine's gonna be kind of the same thing. So it's funny because Miles is definitely in like a mom mode right now, which he wasn't for a long time. A lot of times, like for a long time, I was kind of the one that like, you know, he get excited about, but like he was more daddy, and now it's totally mommy. He doesn't do daddy no yet, but like in terms of which parent he wants to be around, he just tells Hudson no.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. We don't have a Hudson.
Or he looks at Hudson and says, Hudson, go. Hudson was bothering me. She goes, Hutzie, go.
She just spends every hour that she's home trying to get the cat to do something. Please love me.
She's got to come over and play with the dog. So, and the same thing, I took Miles to the street fair really early on Monday, and he had a fucking...
Which was Labor Day, right? I don't think I mentioned it. Yeah, it was Labor Day.
So I took him really early to it, and went and saw friends of ours who were there for like a minute, and then I think he got overheated.
Oh, they were there. I saw the booth. I didn't know they were there.
One of our friend's wife who they left early because they got too hot with their baby. So Miles like must have gotten overheated, and then he had a meltdown that lasted like almost an hour because I think he was so overheated, and I didn't like. Normally I handle that, and like I'm pretty good about it. Like I got scared. I just didn't know what to do. I was like texting my wife. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to do. He won't drink water. He won't, and I think he's hot. And then finally I got him to like settle down, and I put on Baby Shark, and that helped.
Sure. But
my adventure today is very similar. So we're dealing with same thing, like full on. He's not 2 yet, but full on 2-year-old tantrums. I mean, just drop of the dime mood swings. Like he'll be fine, and then he'll want to do something. You tell him no, he like loses his fucking mind over it. And and I get to that. Some of it is his schedule's in flux because we're back to work, and so now he's got to get up really early. I understand that totally probably affects his mood. And so I'm kind of like you for the most part, for a long time, like I can handle it pretty well. Like I can just let him cry and be done with it. And if he throws stuff, we put him in timeout. Like we do all those things, right? And then for a minute or a minute and a half, and then we go get him. But I noticed it is finally starting to tick at my nerves, which I'm not necessarily proud of. So a couple things. Like even this morning, like he threw a meltdown getting him dressed. He didn't want to put a shirt on. And he threw a meltdown and put him in the car. And then he had a meltdown when we got to daycare. And then you have this moment of like feeling like a bad parent because you're like, here's my screaming child. Like, here you go. I have to leave. But what I noticed was, and we were here, so I've been with all of this. I'm pretty good. Like, I've had to talk sternly to him, but not yell. I'll just be like, Miles, no, you can't hit. You can't, you know what I mean? And like, put on like the face and the stern talk. And like, so was my wife. But he was doing something, and it was a combination of, he's pulling your books out. And there was a combination of it being like constant, right? This constant, like really happy to in an instant upset and just, acting out, which again, he's supposed to be doing it. It's normal. I get that.
Right. Sure.
But it was the first time in a long time where like my temper, like I yelled at him and like...
Yeah, because he went after my workbooks, like the my teacher editions of the textbooks that we use at the college. And so I think we all kind of snapped at him when we noticed what he was doing, and it just kind of frightened him.
So, and also like it wasn't just that. It's that I had a plate in my hand, and he knocked the plate out of my hand. And like... my wife was talking to your wife, so she wasn't really paying attention. I was trying to get her, so it was a combination of like not being able to get her attention to help me, him trying to mess with the books and being mad about the books, to knocking off the plate that I yelled at him. Like it was that moment of parenting where it has accumulated so much that like it was just a gut reaction, and then I felt really bad about it. And then I put him in timeout for like a minute, and then he was fine, like because that's what he does in timeouts. He goes to timeout. And after me, he's totally good. He's totally
he settles down.
Yeah, which again, but it was interesting. Like, it's funny that you're this navigating of a parent, understanding that like, and then the thing is, I felt really bad about it because I've tried so hard to like not have that be my default, and I've been pretty good about it. But understanding that like it is really challenging, and just having to be like, listen, this is going to happen.
Yeah, parenting is hard. Yeah, shit is hard.
And it's starting, and this is what I was having this conversation with my brother about. I was like, I find this age right now, this age that we're in with our kids, because I think they're starting to developmentally get closer. Like Miles isn't linguistically as far, but I think we're in the same stage of like what's happening. We're like, they're testing boundaries. They don't have all the words for things they want, so they get upset and all that jazz.
Yeah, that 3 months is starting to become less and less important.
Yeah, right now it's just words. Like Miles has 2-word sentences as opposed to 3. Thea has more words,
right?
Which she should. She's older,
sure.
But we're dealing with a lot of similar stuff, and it's funny because I look at this toddler phase, and it's super fucking cool. Like it is. He is, because you see personalities like, and your wife will say it's like he's funny. He's good, and he knows he's being funny for what that is as a 2-year-old. Like he does goofy things and like to get you to laugh. Like it's cool. You're seeing like a personality develop, but in the same breath, it is like having a tiny, emotionally unstable monster living with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's similar shit going on.
Yeah,
in my world,
that makes perfect sense.
but less daddy knows.
Yeah, and I think that brings us. I think that very nicely brings us to our main topic for the day of a way that we can kind of separate ourselves, and that's throwing ourselves into football.
Sports.
So last year we had a whole episode about this, where we talked in depth about our thoughts about the NFL and watching football in general. And so with the new season about to start up, I thought we should check up on it and see where we're at. So I'm going to start with you,
fine.
Because whatever.
Fine. You start with me.
So if I remember correctly, last year you were very adamant about fuck yeah, football. Let's watch us some football.
Yeah.
How are you feeling this year?
So I had kind of I had a moment of where I was like, fuck football, and now I'm back to fuck yeah, football. Like,
what was your fuck no football?
I don't know. The NFL did something fucking stupid.
Like all of it?
Like all of it.
Like all of it.
Like
it is
NFL
all
was
stupid.
just being stupid, and then college football started, and I was like, fuck yeah, football.
Really?
I
like
really
the whole
was.
Urban Meyer thing? Whatever.
Here's the thing. I really like the sport. I like sports in general, because like I'm also like fuck yeah baseball right now, because we're moving into the playoffs and I can finally watch stuff on TV. I know I could watch, but it's going to be on national TV all the time, so I can like really watch the Cubs as opposed to just following highlights. So I'm like fuck yeah baseball right now too. I really got, like, I was watching Notre Dame football and I was like, yeah. And then we did fantasy drafts and I was like, yeah. I was like, there's football tonight. Fuck yeah, football. Mm-hmm. And part of me is like, I'm a bad person, but fuck yeah, football.
Yeah, no, that's very much. You are a bad person. You're
I really
you're right.
am. But I really love the sport. I understand all the flaws of it, but I love.
You're going full ostrich, huh? Just stick your head in the hole and hope nobody notices.
I was trying to, like, as I was driving to come and talk to you about this, I knew this would be more kind of like flying at me. I was trying to like deconstruct.
Stop hitting the table.
Sorry, I like it so much.
I know.
That's why I do the things I like. I was trying to figure out like why that is, and some of it is I just really like the drama of sports in general, and I think that like the pace of football is one that I really enjoy. It is both fast enough that I stay engaged, and it's slow enough that I can catch up. It's also it's an
ADD person's dream. It's consistent, it's regular, it's quick, and then there's a nice long pause where you get to like distract yourself with whatever other thing you do before you come back.
Because like baseball, it's too, like, I love it, but it's
long and slow.
And like basketball is so fast and so frenetic that's what I like, but it's harder for me to watch. And really, you only need to watch the fourth quarter in basketball to like really be engaged.
It's all the same.
But football, it's like, and listen, I like the violence, and I know that's the worst part about it. Like, I have that moment of like visceral, like, oh, that was a hit, and I go, ooh, that was a hit, but it's still like emotionally does something to me that I'm just like, fuck yeah, football.
Sure.
I really.
And so while we're so maybe I'll go ahead and throw in my 2 cents too now.
You weren't
eventually
gonna watch it.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, I'm in here. Hi, how you doing?
Because your thing was like maybe not watching it.
So yeah, last year on the podcast, I very adamantly said I was stepping away permanently. That my wife and I had talked about it, that we were getting rid of because we had the Sunday ticket package that our families had both used.
Which you did get rid of.
Which I have gotten rid of. That we were going to get rid of that because at the end of the day, Thea just didn't like sit well anymore, and so that last year's worth of watching football just didn't work. So we're going to go out, we're going to go hiking, we're going to go to the zoo, we're going to do events, we're going to have fun, we're going to do things as a family and use that day off that I almost very rarely get to be together. And I followed through with damn near all of it. I got rid of my football package. I got rid of my cable package.
You did,
which
you cut
I
the cord.
Substituted for YouTube TV, admittedly, or one of the streaming services.
It's still cutting the cord though.
Sure. And I've been good. I haven't been really really wanting it until
I felt the butt coming
about the second, maybe third week of the preseason started.
You get that itch. You get that little like,
and the fantasy football podcasts all came back in force. And our league draft started coming up. And so as the commissioner, I had to start like doing all of the league draft work. And then like the Bears played that preseason game. And I was like, I'm okay. I'm going to watch I'm just going to watch a random preseason game.
You watched like the shitty time too. It's not even good yet.
And then I was like, I wonder if I could find the Bears game online. And I couldn't, at least not on one of the websites that don't give you a virus. And so I went, I wonder if I could hack YouTube TV to think that I'm in Chicago.
And then watch the Bears game.
And then when none of the preseason games were streaming, I went, I wonder if I could convince one of these like NBC like websites that are just showing the game anyway to think I'm in Chicago.
And let you watch it.
And so I probably spent about 3 or 4 hours just like playing with my computer, trying to figure out a way to watch football, which for the record, I never did. I haven't been able to figure out a way to watch football. I mean, hopefully I'll be able to figure out a way to watch football, but that's kind of where I'm at. Like
for someone who's boycotted football, that's pretty intense.
I really hate everything about the game except for fantasy football, because for fantasy football, for me, it's like, it's kind of like gambling without having to spend money.
There's no risk.
We play in a free league.
Yeah.
We have like a fun trophy. It's a family thing. We smack talk a little bit. I'm considered the villain of the league because I'm the only person who seems to actually care.
And you haven't won.
And I haven't won.
My wife's won twice.
So there's a lot of like, for me, it's just like, I like to follow my players, and the best way to follow my players is by watching the game. And so that's where I'm still addicted. Like, I really don't care. Like, I'm adamantly opposed to the league. I'm adamantly opposed to the politics. Like, I feel like if you watch NFL right now, it's kind of like, you kind of are supporting like conservative values and Trumpy.
I think you are. I mean, I have to agree with you.
And I look at college football and I'm like, so, I mean, like, the NCAA is just evil, right? Like, hi, broke people who are trying to like make it into the NFL. So I know you can't afford to go to college. So, hey, we're going to give you a scholarship. I know you can't afford to feed yourself, but we're going to make it illegal to give you food. Yeah. We're also going to make it illegal to give you money for food. We're also going to make it illegal to give you socks. A fucking sock for your shoe just to walk around campus in. Oh, that reminds me. We're also going to make it illegal to give you a way to get to and from. No, but it's okay. But we're giving you an education. But that education is invaluable.
We'll make a bunch of money off
Except for the fact that we're not going to allow you to go to classes because, well, football has to come first. That's what you're here for. And we're going to make sure that your homework, we're going to largely have that negated for you. So we're just going to give you tutoring with people who are largely going to do the assignments for you. So that education, not really an education. I mean, it's more of a degree.
There are a couple of the high schools that actually have good grades too and a good football team.
Yeah, congratulations. You're the minority.
No, I agree. I'm just saying that if you're going to paint with a broad brush, understand there are some exceptions to that.
I mean, I think the point remains. And then when you go even further and you look at all of the stuff that they're covering up, that they sweep under the rug, and then you look at the things that they don't sweep under the rug. All of this is about taking advantage of the people who have the least power. And it really bothers me and it upsets me. And so for everything that I've said about, like, I'm trying to find a way to watch the games, I'm also kind of hopeful that I don't find a way. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. So as we move this forward, I think one place that I would like to kind of try to massage this.
That's what she said.
So you have every intention to watch football this year, right?
Yeah.
We'll probably end up watching it together because one of us will figure out a way to watch football at the other one's houses. And
at the end of the day, I'll do the rewind on NFL.com.
Well, that's just not the same because you can't. It's a live thing. You find out. Point is, how do you feel about these family get-togethers? Like, how do you feel about this tradition that we are very quickly developing? It's been 2 years of us having children. It's been 2 years that we've been getting together on Sundays to watch football as a very, very large family for how small our apartments are. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about this tradition and the values that it's theoretically instilling in our kids?
Well, I think there's a couple things to talk about. Like, number one, I think that the actual watching of a game, it's just not going to happen. I mean, even if we find it, we're not going to be watching it. Because even though our kids can, for moments in time, do things apart from us, they're getting to that point. They're still very much like they still have to be engaged or force you to be engaged. So there's no real like watching and enjoying the game in that sense. At least I don't think so. So, but in terms of like getting together around a tradition, I still really like that, even if that tradition is football. So, for example, like that was something that my family did on Sundays, right?
Sure.
I didn't give a shit about football till I was in high school. Like, I mean, all I looked at is, oh, we're all together right now. And like they're watching football.
Yeah, for me, it was less of a tradition, so much as it was a thing that I regularly did with my dad. For me, it was more about getting to eat my football candy and hang out with my dad. I think I told this story last year, but when I was a kid, I had what my family called football candy, which was just runts.
Yeah.
And subsequently, on football Sundays, I would regularly watch the game with my dad, and we would pull out the candy that I only was I don't know if I was only allowed to, or if I just only did eat during the football games. But I would sit down, I would eat some of that candy, and we would watch football games. It was just kind of like a nice way for my dad and I to sit down and relate to one another. I think as I got older, I just kind of phased out of that. But when I look back on those memories, they're really nice and really wonderful. But one of the things I worry about moving forward is I've thought about this a bit lately because largely around us thinking about watching sports. And more, I have a hard time taking my kids to games, like taking Thea to a sporting event in general. Like we had a really good time going to that minor league game, and there wasn't really anybody there, so this didn't really occur nearly as much. But sporting events, especially at more professional levels, are hostile places.
Oh yeah.
Like they're like, even if you are in the in group, if you are somebody who is rooting for the home team and are a fan of like part of the people, like there is still a mob mentality, like which quite often like becomes angry and maybe not, even if it doesn't resort to violence, it's just not a nice family's place to go with the kids. And I just can't, like, the more I think about it, the more I think like sports are kind of shitty. Especially people like fandom of sports is kind of shitty.
I think the fandom of sports can be shitty. I don't think sports are shitty. I think sports still can teach us really valuable things that are important. And
see, I feel like that is an old adage that maybe hasn't been looked at critically enough.
Okay. Why?
Okay. So when you look at sports, like if you're talking about competition, okay, great. There are other ways you compete than sports.
Okay.
So if you just remove competition from it and you look at sports, okay, so you have these leagues who are run by incredibly wealthy people whose primary means of income is to find a way to essentially swindle you on the backs of people who don't have a lot of money. You can say that in baseball when you're getting people who are largely from Latin American countries who don't have a lot of income and are kind of dependent on sport as their way to find it. You look at it in the NFL when most of these players are coming from lower income areas. Same that like the NBA is arguably the most obvious location.
The NBA is probably obviously the biggest social platform too.
You look at something like baseball and you say, okay, you also have, 4 tiers below the major leagues where people are making less than $20,000 a year. But are also expected to dedicate large swaths of that year towards the team. Then you look at like the rules you have in place that are all built upon basically saying like your entire existence must be predicated on benefiting us, even though we're going to give you as little as possible. You look at the union league arguments, which are perpetually geared towards thwarting any type of individuality and freedom. You look at like my favorite team in the league, the Chicago Bears. Like the draft has like the draft and how much players get paid is really like it is so placed in stone that there's hardly even a discussion anymore for draft picks about contracts. It's just like, all right,
it's all slated.
Here's your contract. You're going to get this, except for the fucking Bears who said, we're going to find a way to put language in here that says, if you get fined for, I don't know, something like this new esoteric rule that didn't exist where the place you're coming from, but does exist here that nobody in the league fucking understands, we're going to withhold all of the money we just promised you.
which didn't happen because that contract didn't get signed.
I'm not sure how that went, but I know that is the case for Mitchell Trubisky, who signed last year.
It's also the case for some, because some players don't give a shit.
The point is, okay, fine. So the players don't give a shit, which means that they're taking advantage of people who don't have their own best interests at heart.
But then but then you have to argue. Then that's what the Players Association. But they don't
Man,
argue.
I
with
see
people
what
in
you're
the
like.
future.
I get it. What you're like. You're just trying to go down a fucking rabbit hole where you're trying to justify the people.
No, because I mean,
who have unlimited money.
Right. So my question is: it seems to me that you have less of a problem with the game. So like the game of baseball. And more about the business of sports.
Well, yeah, because you can't separate the two.
So you're saying like if your kid playing, so you wouldn't put Thea in T-ball to learn competition, to learn teamwork, to learn the fun of an athletic event because of the repercussions of sports down the road. When I talk about the good of sports, I'm talking about like that, right? Like learning those things, having those interactions.
So what you're essentially saying is that you can divide the two. That like the act of picking up a bat and a glove is separate from like endorsing Major League Baseball, minor league baseball, independent league baseball, whatever. And I'm not sure that's possible. Will I give my daughter a glove and go out into the backyard and play catch? Sure. Will I enroll her in T-ball if she wants to? Yeah, probably, because I don't know, like I as corrupt as even like the little minor league stuff is, and it is, just listen to like all the stories you hear about the like Little League World Series and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like, yeah, I'll because it's entertainment. Like at that point, it's them getting out and getting exercise. But I think when we're talking about like getting together and watching a game, watching the sports on TV. And I'll be honest, like I still watch baseball because of the games. I find it the least corrupt, even though it is still very problematic.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the sport you find the least corrupt?
Major League Baseball?
We should come back to that. I would say the NBA is way more or less corrupt than Major League Baseball. We can come back to that.
Okay. Yeah, we can come back to it if you want.
Sorry. That's I think that's just you love baseball, so you're biased.
I don't, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, that's so all those things are why I still have a very big problem with sports in general.
So, I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's fine because I think you're right. Like at the end of the day, like playing T-ball, soccer, or whatever, there's always going to be a connection in some way to the larger sports leagues because that's where a lot of that funding trickles down from. But I think that sports or athletics or competition, it could be fucking esports. I don't care. Helps to instill some really important lessons for kids about winning and losing and being.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I'm just saying, like, so for me, in terms of like not just watching sports, but like, yeah, I can demonize sports all I want, but like, I think there is an inherent good to competition, and like that's where competition comes from. And I mean, Math League is a sport if you really want to go down that road. I mean, fine, put your kid in.
Well, okay, man.
Academics.
I feel like you're taking this in a direction that is so against the spirit of the conversation.
So
like I said, I inherently have absolutely no problem with competition. Yes, like I said at the beginning of my rant, like yes, competition is good. If you remove the competitive aspect of it, then yeah, no, just okay, but. Like, yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this.
I don't know, because I just feel like... so this is what I was hearing.
Okay.
Athletics good. Everything about the institution that promotes those athletics is bad.
Yes.
Okay. Life. I mean, I hate to be the bearer, but like, find me an industry that's not that way. I mean, we work in education. Education good. The institution of education, kind of shitty. So here's one thing. I just feel like it feels to me, maybe I'm oversimplifying your argument, that you are demonizing everything because there are problems. Like, yes, sports as a whole. I mean, why does baseball have, I mean, they've done things. Why is baseball outside of the Latin community, right? More white because it costs more to play the game. You have to buy a bat. You have to buy a ball. You have to buy a glove. Like basketball, you can pick up a ball. I can buy a $20 basketball and go play, right? So yeah, you can say that. So I can watch the.
And I mean, and look, it's when you talk about it being more white. What you're essentially saying is that it is more wealthy. And I will like outside of maybe golf. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Is hockey? I honestly don't know very much about
hockey's
hockey.
Very white because it costs a lot to play it.
I honestly never knew why it was so white. But like, now that you say that, it
Yeah.
kind of does make more sense to me. How that can come to be.
Yeah.
When I think about like that's all, but that's not really corruption in my eyes. That's just predicated on like what the sport is. Like you need a glove and you need a bat and you need 10 plus people to play the game. You need 20 people to play the game because there's two teams
in baseball. Yeah.
The point is, I don't know. When I think of this, what I'm thinking is like when you sit down your kids to watch a game, because like, look, we can have a nice like this was not the conversation that I thought we were having about playing sports,
but it's where it went. So,
but when I started talking, I was talking about watching sports, not playing sports. And as far as watching sports go, I feel like everything about watching sports is inherent support for that. Like down to the advertising that you're giving the league, the networks, everybody, down to the shoes that I don't know about you, but we own a Bears jersey, shirt, whatever, so that we can throw it on each Sunday before the game starts, and we do, and then we take it off every Sunday.
Yes, you are absolutely right that like by watching that sport, you are inherently supporting the business that is the sport. I completely agree. And I think that and you can make that decision not to do that and not watch sports. That's fine. It is something that I enjoy watching, just like I make the conscious choice to watch Disney movies, which can go back and forth on Disney. Like Disney's got issues.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So yes, I'm making this conscious choice to engage and consume that product, be it basketball, baseball, football. And my son may or may not engage that product with me. And I feel like because we live in a capitalistic society, everyone's being taken advantage of in some way. And that is not where I can get into. What bothers me is some of the social issues. And I can talk to my son about that. And I can hope that when he starts to like it, maybe some of it is worked out. Or maybe, listen, it may get to a point where it's too much for me. But right now, I think that these are my benefits for watching it, in my opinion. It gives football specifically, because I think football is geared to this. It sets a weekly tradition. Yes, I know you can do it with other things, but it is a very clear, on Sundays, I know it's on Thursdays, but Sunday's the day, right? Like Sundays when we would get together.
Whatever,
yeah.
Sure.
Sundays, we are going to get together with these people we care about, and we are going to put something on the television that we probably really aren't going to watch at this phase because kids. We're going to have food. We're going to enjoy each other's company. And if you end up liking the sport, then I, as a parent, get to talk to you about all the goods and bads of it. And I may, as a parent, think there are more goods or less bads. I'm going to talk to my kid. And if they really love a sport, I will try to share with them the good of it. For me, that is that I have a very rich family tradition inherently in the sport. I can talk to them about that. I can share that with them. I just think that what you're doing by saying is you're using a thing to set a tradition that is bigger than the thing, especially in our case, because it's not just you and Thea watching the game.
Sure.
It is all of us coming together. And we're doing fantasy, which, to be honest, I'm still very much vested in the Bears because I like it. But for you and for my wife and for your wife, it's fantasy. It's plain fantasy, which innately leads you into the sport.
Which has its own whole rabbit's hole or whatever you want to call it, but I see what you're saying.
So I'm just saying, I think that what football is doing, whether that ends up being what continues it or not, is it saying, okay, we're going to get together, probably on the days the Bears play, right? And we're going to make some food, and we're going to come together, and we're going to have a good time until our kids have fucking meltdowns, and then one of the two of us is going to get stressed and we're going to leave because our kids are having meltdowns, which our house we're at. But you're starting a tradition of family coming together, and whether or not our kids, for me, in all honesty, whether or not my kid likes that sport, I could care less. If he does, great. I'll share that with him, hopefully. But what I do care about is that he has these memories of I had this time with my mom and my dad and my uncle and my aunt and my cousin, and we enjoyed it and we loved it. And you're left more with the memory of that than the importance of the sport. If he likes the sport, I'll deal with that.
And like I said, kind of when we started, I see myself continuing to be drawn to the computer to try and find a way to watch my team, watch the sport. And I think it is largely for that reason. It's I'm when I stop to think about it, it's I as much as I fucking hate being in the kitchen for 6 hours before the football game starts, waking up at the crack of dawn to bake cookies and then make whatever the fuck else I'm going to make that day. I do also love that that thing that I never had as a kid, which is having my family together, like my extended family, having people together to do a thing on a regular basis. And I like the idea that that's something Thea will have in her life, that she'll be able to know that, like, all right, Sunday's coming, like we're gonna, like, Sunday's family day. Every, like, the family's getting together. We're all going to go over to Aunt Nick and Aunt Sarah and Uncle Nick's house. We're gonna they're gonna come over here, and we're all gonna be together for 4 or 5 hours, whatever is, and we're gonna watch football, or we're going to fucking play we're gonna go to the park and we're gonna ride bikes, or we're gonna watch romantic comedies, or whatever the thing is we're gonna do. We're gonna do it. And at the end of the day, like, I feel like it is a terrible fucking thing to have that centered around, but having that present in my daughter's life, I mean, in my life, but as far as this podcast is concerned, my daughter's life, I feel like it is a necessary evil for the time being. Every day that passes, that idea of having it be centered around football just makes me feel dirtier and dirtier. But it's still a thing that it's a good excuse. It's a good reason to. That's
what I was just about to say. It's a thing, right? And like,
it's an event that happens every week, that falls on the right day of the week, that we all can do something slightly competitive together to engage ourselves in conversation, even when you're all exhausted and whatever. For all of the bad that it has, it does have those things where it's just a really convenient way to get together and engage each other in conversation.
It's also finite, so like it's not all year, right? So you have something to look forward to cyclically. It also gives you, I think, and this is me thinking about long term, it gives you an opportunity to bring other people into your sphere around this thing, right? So you're like, we're watching football. You should come over and watch it with us. If someone likes football, it gives you an in to be like, we're doing this thing.
Sure.
And it's something that commonly people like, whether or not you actually watch that game or not. And so I agree with you. I think I still like the sport a little more than you, but I think what it can do as an event, I think, is really important.
I think that's fair.
And then, I want to beat you in fantasy football.
Which will probably happen.
I know.
All right, so that's going to do us for football for this year. Look, we're probably going to come back to it in little arguments and discussions, because Lord knows I'm not going to be tired of calling out the NFL for how awful they are. But for today, we're going to go ahead and move into emails. Nick, I'm throwing it to you this time. Do we have any emails, anything that we need to...
We have no emails.
All right, well, in that case, we're not going to read any emails. But we are going... Oh, shit, there was an email that I never actually got from my grandmother. And she had a thing, she had a thought.
Save it for next week.
Yeah, I'll read it for next week. But for now, just remember, if you ever have any thoughts, you have anything you'd like us to talk about, any suggestions for future episodes, you can find us at emails@twodumbdads.com. That's emails@2dumbdads.com.
Chris, where can they find you?
We are so not at that point yet.
We aren't. Oh, yeah. That's why I don't drive the ship, guys. I did that last week.
So
crashing that ship.
That would bring us to everyone's favorite part of the show, Nick's Bake-tastic Ballyhoo. Nick, what you baking?
I made a bunch of scones last week.
Did you? Because I thought you said they fell apart and got
destroyed. No. I ended up making a bunch of them, but I made like 3 different kinds.
You just held out on us. That's what you. That's the truth. You just held out.
I made them for my wife's work for Fashion Week. It's okay though. Hudson got a good portion of them off the table. I was gonna kill him, but I perfected my strawberry basil scone, which was nice, and so now I'm gonna try a strawberry basil mint scone because why not?
Good. Cool.
But right now I'm working on Irish soda bread, but so I can create an Irish soda bread that has caramelized onions, bacon, and cheese in it. So I made a soda bread last night. It was okay. It's a little salty. I need to cut back on the salt, but I'm using that bread book that you got me. So I'm playing with those recipes. So made some soda bread. I'll probably make some more soda bread with some bacon and some caramelized onions and some cheese.
So that book I got you, is it just a recipe book or is it a textbook like I thought it was?
It's a textbook. It's a textbook with techniques and recipes. The only thing that's hard about it is it has home recipes, but it's more in bulk recipes.
I see.
So some of the measurements are a little weird at times. So
I mean, you were trying to figure out how to make more than like one loaf at a time. I'm just saying, I got you the answer.
It definitely does that.
You ask and I provide.
You did provide. That's what I said. That's where I got the soda bread recipe from.
Cool.
By using that. So, but I have to tweak it a little bit because it was a little salty for what I enjoy. I
Okay.
like a little more sweet, less salty.
Fair enough.
But it's an easy bread. It takes like 20 minutes to make.
All right. So that brings us to recommendations. Nick, do you have anything you want to talk about today?
I do. So I just started a new book that I'm really enjoying.
Wait, you have a book?
I have a book.
A book.
It is a...
Has it been made into a TV show?
No, it's not made into
or a movie?
No.
There's no like visual component.
No.
This is an
It's
actual
book.
Word-filled book.
It's the first novel that's really caught my attention since Game of Thrones.
You're letting us down, Nick.
I will. So here's the thing. I came about this because I was listening to a Vox podcast, the Ezra Klein podcast, and he had this author on, N.K. I'm going to say her name wrong. I'm going to merge it. Jemisin, Jemisin. And,
Cool.
And the interview was about building worlds. She's a fantasy writer.
Mm-hmm.
So she was talking about like her whole process of how she builds a world, right? Like builds the underlayer of the iceberg. I was like, oh, she sounds really awesome. And so I'm reading her book. She's the first or one of the first Black women to win a Hugo Award for this series, which is the first book is called The Fifth Season.
Cool.
It's the Broken Earth series. It's book 1. It's awesome. It's about a Pangea continent and some stuff that goes on with that. And I just hearing her talk about how she fleshes out worlds got me really interested. She's a fantastic writer. I'm really into it.
So you're talking about a Pangea continent. I assume then this is high fantasy?
Yes. Like kind of not Game of Thrones, but in that kind of world of Game of Thrones.
I think I would call Game of Thrones pretty high fantasy. I mean, there's no elves or maybe it's okay. Maybe Game of Thrones isn't high fantasy. Maybe it's just fantasy.
It's fantasy. I
mean, are there elves and shit in Game of Thrones? I've only seen the show where I know they like skin a lot of stuff out.
There's elvish thing. I guess Game of Thrones is high fantasy. When you really, it's steeped. It starts steeped in reality and goes.
I guess
further.
if you call Lord of the Rings high fantasy, you kind of got to go high fantasy with this too, right?
Yeah. It's good though. I'm really, really enjoying it. I think it's adult, but like you could read it to like a young adult too who's mature.
Okay, so Thea.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
okay, perfect.
Yeah, we'll get there. So that's what I'm reading. I'm really liking it, so I recommend it. It's cool. And if you should go listen to that episode of the Ezra Klein podcast for Vox, just interviewing her about how she does this. They build a world together.
Okay.
It's awesome.
Oh, cool.
If you're a geek like me, it's super cool.
Sounds neat. So this week I am recommending a book also. But to be fair, that is like totally on brand for me. I always find
I'm always the TV
book.
show person.
So for me, I'm doing an adult thing this week. I'm going to recommend David Sedaris' new book, Calypso. I'm just generically a big David Sedaris fan since the first time I heard his Holidays on Ice story on This American Life. I have consumed all of his books. This one is good. This one is David Sedaris as he has entered into middle age. His first story is essentially him bemoaning the aging nature of his family and how they all come together and how he's realized like he's past middle age now.
That's cool.
So yeah, David Sedaris is wonderful. I fully recommend his book, as will I'm sure literally every other podcast in America. Although they probably did it like 3 months ago when the book came out.
I haven't heard about it yet.
I have a toddler though, so I am 3 months behind on life. So if that helps anything.
Truth.
So that being said, I think that's going to do it for us. Keep an eye out on our social media this week. I'm saying this here because I'm curious to see how many people actually listen to this stuff. So we're gonna have some new developments and maybe a giveaway this week if all goes as planned. So keep an eye on our social media. We're gonna announce it on everything.
There might be some polls. We might be joining another podcast for some cool stuff coming down the pipes. Lots of stuff happening.
There might be nude photos. There might be. I mean, who knows what kind of like crazy
Chris
stuff.
Dancing naked. All kinds of good stuff.
Yeah, I might just like record myself streaking through Manhattan just to see if everybody's interested. They aren't. I can assure you, they are not.
No, there's someone who would love that out there.
This went in a weird direction.
I took it there.
You can find me at Chris Mossigan on Twitter and at Rampant55, I believe, on Twitch.
You can find me at NWestemeyer on Twitter. You can find me at NWestemeyer on the gram. You can find us at 2_dumb_dads on Twitter. You can also find us on Instagram at 2dumbdads. And we have a Facebook group, which is at 2dumbdads Facebook group.
And most importantly, we have a website, 2dumbdads.com. So until next time, be well.